Good morning, YouTube. My name is William Michael Forbes. I want to welcome you to a morning message. Today I have two archangels with me that appeared to me last night in order to help somebody else work through a challenging situation they're dealing with. And they wanted me to come back with them today to talk about what this whole thing about ascension is and why it's so important. And why it's so important to understand that these beings that we do not see with our eyes or hear with our ears actually exist, just not in a framework of perception that allow our senses to perceive it. We take it on faith that, we have these things called cell phones and we have these things called tablets and we have laptops and computers and all this technology that allows us to tap into other people that aren't physically with us. We can't see them with our eyes or hear them with our ears until we have a device that allows us to tune into them. Now, what Archangel Michael says is that everybody has this device to tune into us. He says everyone on this planet has a device in their physical brain that will enable them, when it is activated, to tune into dimensions of perception and consciousness that are not perceivable to the physical senses, but are perceivable to your awareness. And this particular mechanism in the body is a gland in the brain called the pineal gland. And the pineal gland is a fascinating antenna. It's a receiving and transmitting antenna for non-physical energy. It's what your consciousness broadcasts through into the body from. Your non-physical consciousness, which is the energy field around your body, is what you broadcast into the body through the pineal gland, which goes into all the nerves, organs, and glands and keeps them active. Your energy is keeping them active. Universal plasma, if you like, is keeping your body active. Michael said this time of ascension is a time where you are able to enable yourself to work directly with emotional energy. Emotional energy. He's repeating this very deliberately. Why are you repeating that deliberately? He says, I'm repeating emotional energy deliberately because it's important that you understand that your emotions are not those things that define who you are. They allow you to define the quality and characteristics of energy that you're currently working with. If you are working with anger and fear and guilt and shame, or love and joy and ecstasy and bliss, they are all one and the same substance called energy, just at different rates and frequencies of vibration. In order to communicate with us directly, it's important you understand how to move and alter your consciousness from one state of energy to another. You can literally change one perceptual energy into another perceptual energy. You can move from energy that's in fear or anger, and you can transform that energy into hope and love and faith and excitement. And that transition, consciously done, will facilitate your knowing how to move your awareness to a frequency level of consciousness that will enable you to perceive us directly. Just as this one here is able to tap in and tune into these frequencies, so too can anyone with a normally functioning biology that has the capacity to alter and adjust their emotional frequencies intentionally and with will. As much as there are beings of consciousness on the lower planes of energy, and by the lower planes, we only use that term to denote the density or mass of a particular frequency of emotion. The frequency and density of the emotion of anger is very different than the frequency and density of the emotion of love. But each of you has the capacity to alter that particular state of energy from one to the other. One can go from a state of anger to a state of love. One can go from a state of love to a state of anger. Each and every one of you have experienced this in your lives. But to come to the place where you can deliberately and intentionally adjust those frequencies is the beginning of your liberation from subjectivity to being just the physical form that you think you are, but you're not. The form is merely the medium through which you express on this physical plane of consciousness. So please understand that you are able to shift and adjust emotional energy when you understand the process that's involved in shifting your perceptual awareness from one state of awareness to another state. Each of those bandwidths of consciousness, whether it is love or anger, or joy or fear, Each of those bandwidths of consciousness enables you to tune into frequencies and beings that are at that level. So when you hear the discussion of angels and devils, there is some truth in that, but it is true from the perspective of frequency. If you are tuned into the frequency of a divine consciousness, that of love, that of bliss, that of pure joy, then you will tap into the beings such as ourselves and many others that are awaiting your call. We are all around you all times. All are around you at all times. You can equally drop your frequency down to anger and disappointment and sadness, and you will attract frequency beings that are on that level. This is why we encourage people to consider such things when they begin to move into this realm of mysticism, as you call it, on this dimension, that you begin to alter and change your vibrational patterning in the body by putting in proper foods, proper water, exercising your form, raising its frequency up, so the mechanism becomes a proper system for tuning into these higher frequency beings such as ourselves and many, many others. There are not just beings on the dimensions that we exist, but there are many other dimensions of consciousness that are at just different ranges of frequency. And your capacity to fully and deliberately be able to articulate this is the beginning of your liberation from subjectivity to the confines of this physical world. From the perspective of higher frequency, you are then able to make adjustments in this physical plane of consciousness to alter the expressions that you see here of fear and anger and doubt and uncertainty. The moment you become enabled deliberately and consciously to alter the intensity of a particular emotional range, you can begin to alter the frequency of your being, and therefore that which you will be experiencing in your material life. I chose to come through today for this reason, because there is much conflict in the nations that have the greatest potential to help the most number of you on this planet. You know which countries these are. I do not need to illuminate these, but suffice to say there is great divisiveness, polarized energies that are being facilitated deliberately and intentionally from other levels of consciousness, both below and above. The capacity for you as an individual to identify how to change your fear into joy, to shift your consciousness, will remove you from the conditionings and the mechanisms that seek to keep you confined in a limited space, in a limited consciousness, and to be in conflict with each other. This conflict will end the moment it ends within you, the moment you choose a higher vibrational state of being. And this takes practice, and we understand this, for you must learn how to breathe. You must learn how to use your body and modify its functions so that you can alter your perceptual range of being and experience. The minute you learn how to alter this form, you are now the master of the temple. And all of us, whether we are in form or not, have learned to some degree to do this. There are many that are still in that process of learning, even some of you watching. But it is very important to learn to do this at this time, for we are all here, many of us, from many planetary systems, from many frequencies of consciousness, from many dimensions of being. Many of us have been called here by many of you who said, please help us, assist us. But from the perspective of your fear and uncertainty that you asked us from, which called us forth, you must now open up to these higher frequencies of consciousness, for your fear and your doubt and your guilt and your anger will pull in the frequencies of lower vibrational beings that would seek to influence you and maintain you at their level of being for their own personal reasons. So it is essential you raise your frequency up to a state of love, of grace, of joy, of peace. And this concept is universal. This ability is universal. There are mechanisms politically, religiously, that would seek to restrict those of you that are actually very enlightened and expanded in consciousness to remain stuck in a certain framework of ideology that would limit you from being fully that which you truly are. And we are here to say to you, you are free. All of you are free from the false mechanisms of externalized objectifications of divinity that would seek to limit you to those objectifications and the principles laid out by those that created that objectification. True freedom comes in the enacting of your true divinity from a perspective of love. For each of you, in essence, is as equal as God himself is equal to all. But you must realize this yourself, and there are many schools many activities that you can engage in that will assist you on the journey of raising your consciousness from this simple state of pain and suffering to the state of joy and creation. For this is what the higher estate is, joy and creation, love and being. And these things you can learn. These things you can do. For that which comes of love is very different than that which comes of fear. And yet, within you, you can give birth to either at any time. Okay, he's saying that's all he wants to say at this moment. It's an amazing thing what this time of ascension provides all us the opportunity to do when you realize that you have unlimited power, unlimited energy at your disposal at any time. When you begin to really understand that, when you begin to understand that your emotions are something that's really just energy. It's like electricity, emotions. About 4 months ago, my guardian angel John told me, remember that emotion is the fifth state of energy. When he said that to me, it blew my mind completely. That emotion is our fifth state of energy. And it is like electricity in one sense, but we have to be able to use the energy properly. So when you become aware of a certain emotion that doesn't serve you, you can alter the mechanism through which that emotion flows. Because when I was very young and I was very depressed and I was under psychiatric care and I was on medication and I was going through a lot of difficulty, one of the challenges that I had to overcome was getting lost in the emotions, the pain, the anxiety, the depression that I was dealing with. And I had to reformat, restructure the way I thought, the way I felt, and the way I acted. And I had to literally change that. It took a long time. It took about 6 years for me to get out of the serious conditions that went along with me trying to deal with emotional pain that I didn't have the knowledge to deal with. And they tell me that right now there's about 60% of the people on the planet right now are dealing with emotional conditions that they do not believe they can control. And that there are mechanisms in place that are leveraging your fear of not having control to keep you under control, to keep you from having control, to keep you from manifesting your full potential. When I began to realize that I could change what I thought, that by changing what I thought, I could begin to alter and address changes in my emotional field. Then I began to get introduced to meditation and how to begin to change the way I breathe my body and walk my body. And that further enhanced the quality of energy that I was experiencing. And it was just a continual climb up. And literally, it doesn't matter where you are. I attempted suicide multiple times when I was a teenager and a young adult. So I understand very well what it is to feel like I have no power or control. But once you come across that threshold where you realize, wait a minute, this body will do what I think it to do. And there are processes and methods and ways in many schools, many educational processes, many of the yogi programs, the Eastern mystic programs. There's people like Yogananda, Anthony Robbins, Deepak Chopra, Wayne Dyer, who've created programs that have facilitated a way for you to begin to manage your energy, because that's ultimately what you're learning to do, is you're learning to manage energy while we're in these physical bodies. That's what we're learning to do. And as you find that place of liberation, there's something that begins to happen. You start to become open to possibility that's greater than what your limiting emotions would think you have. And what else is really funny is there are so many mechanisms around us all the time. You look at wherever you go in almost any restaurant now, there's a TV screen. There are mechanisms in place designed specifically to keep you at lower vibrational frequencies of consciousness. I don't watch TV unless I'm watching something really educational or enlightening for me that's going to raise my energy up. But most of the stuff you see on TV is based in fear, based in uncertainty, doubt, guilt, shame. They scare you about your health. There's all kinds of stuff that is designed to keep you at a low vibrational plane of consciousness. You have to learn to bring yourself up. Michael says, and that is why we are here. We are here to facilitate, but you must open your awareness. You must open your awareness to the fact that we do exist. But you must open your awareness, not just your ears with the body or your eyes with your eyes. You must open your awareness to these higher frequencies of love that are what you truly are. He says, and it really gets simple. Once you start aligning yourself deliberately, saying, oh, I'm not going to indulge in the anger, I'm going to choose to move into a state of love and grace. And there, like I said, there's many different ways of learning to do this. But the message today was essentially about getting to the place where you understand that you are free to create and design the life you want. You are free to move away from pain and suffering. You are free to open up to hearing divine beings and angels and archangels and multidimensional beings. All you need to do is learn how to retune your instrument, retune this system to match the vibrations you want to become aware of. It's like right now, if I shift my attention, I can become aware of the sound of the wet wheels on the roads between the tires and the cars out on the streets, 16 floors down. I can literally hear the car tires going over the roads because the roads are wet and there's snow on them, and I can hear that. I wasn't aware of that a moment ago. I just shifted my awareness to something else, and I perceived something else. Once you learn to shift your awareness from fear to love, from anger to joy or patience, you begin to take mastery over your mind and your body. And Michael just wanted to come and deliver that message. I have to review that message because, again, when they speak through me that fluidly, I actually have to go back and listen to hear everything that they say so I can understand the message, because I'm aware of it when it's happening, that flows through, and I'm not out of control. I can step in anytime I want, but I don't consciously retain the information the same way as if I am listening to somebody talking in front of me right now. It's like I'm standing beside somebody listening. Very interesting to learn how to do that when you start learning. Master Jesus and Buddha, these beings exist in a quality of consciousness that you must harmonize with, just the same way as this cell phone lets me connect with somebody on another part of the planet, even though I can't see them. The mechanism allows you to do that. So you want to become the master of this mechanism so you can begin to change the frequencies that you get tuned into. And there's a lot of fear and a lot of anger and uncertainty and doubt getting pumped into people's brains through certain media mechanisms. And once you pull yourself away from those things, you'll start to feel a peace begin to come inside you because you're not feeding that pain and suffering anymore. Anyway, that's I guess the morning message today. But I also want to make a couple of announcements for the students that have taken all of our 101, 102, and 103 courses over the last year. Just wanted you to know we've now created an ongoing support group for all students of 101, 102, and 103 courses. And you can search Mediumship, Students of Mediumship 101, 102, and 103 on Facebook, and you'll find the group. And it's filling up pretty quickly with a lot of old friends and familiar faces. And it's a place where you can continue to practice what you've learned in the classes and courses. That's one thing I want to say. The other thing is the new schedule is now up on the website for the upcoming year's courses. The new course price, of course, will be $199 for each of the 3-week courses. They start February 2nd and run right through till June, I believe. But you can go to my website, WilliamMichaelForbesCoaching.com, to get all the, WilliamMichaelForbes.com or WilliamMichaelForbesCoaching.com, and get all the information there. What else do I need to say? Did I make any notes? Yes, I did. Yes, so anybody who wants to take our courses and classes next year, if you register before January the 1st of this year, we will honor the existing price for this year, which is $150 US. After January 1st, it'll be $199 US. And you can go into the course group and you can register for the specific courses. And we'll know which one and which timeline, because there's 2 different groups running side by side. There's a session 1 and a session 2. And anyway, let your friends know, because you don't have to sit in wonder of how you can alter or change your mind. There's actually courses and classes and programs out there. Many of them will help you raise and elevate your consciousness to the type of a state of being that truly ennobles who you truly are. Raphael says to me, if everyone knew the grand, amazing light that you are, that you have no limit, that you are unbound by time or space, if you truly allow yourself to taste the consciousness of your own nature and allow that to come forth from your mouth, to allow that to be that which guides your actions, you will be astounded at what you can create as an expression and an extension of who you truly are in this physical world. And you can call on any of us to assist you. Raphael says he likes to help people with healing. He likes to help people work with healing energy. Michael's more for protection, but he says he's more geared to wanting to empower people to be in harmony with love. You don't need protection when you're in a state of love and grace. And I had an event happen a few weeks ago where I was out in front of the a Starbucks where I was having a cup of tea. And as I'm just sitting there relaxing, and one of the things my angels had told me about 20 minutes before, they said, you're going to learn how to stay in a state of love no matter what. And I said, what does that mean? And they said, well, you'll see. So I'm out now, 20 minutes later, having this cup of tea on the porch, and this homeless man comes running on the porch, the patio of the Starbucks, and picks up a chair and starts screaming, I want to kill all the Americans, I want to kill all the Americans. He raises the chair over my head and looks down at me, right? And I just looked up at him, and I was still in that vibration of love that I was feeling. And I'm thinking in my mind, this is what they meant, right? And as I'm just feeling love towards this being, he just looks at me, shakes his head, and throws the chair down and runs away. And I went, wow, your vibration of love can turn away violence. Love is God's shield. Love is God's shield. And when you become a being of love, you are literally God's shield. You are an extension of God's love. Again, that's a skill that anybody can learn to develop. I know this from personal experience, but each of us has to learn this in the way that we will. I want to thank all of you for coming out today. If you want to know more about the courses, about the classes, about private readings I give, please go to my new website, williammichaelforbes.com, and all the information and registration. I've got blogs there that you can read some of the stuff that we've written and I've channeled through over the years. And again, thank you very much for your time and your energy. Much love. Have a wonderful and joyful day, or create a wonderful and joyful day. Bye for now.